Slick talker since a jet. Wintertime, all the time, ooh, yeah. Look at the way that I move, swag. Disrespectful and I'm rude, okay. I had cocaine in the school. Winter one hell of a kid. I am smoking gas, jogging mid. I'm lit. What you doing? I done did. I swear. Slick talker since a jet. Finesse. I know that this what they want. Facts. Run up some money, I'm gone. I'm the truth like Ron.
Hey guys, it's DX What If here, and today I am bringing you a brand new What If. This What If will be, what if Naruto was in Tokyo Ghoul and broken, part 1. Now without further ado, let's get right into this. I'll turn this on a little bit. One day, a boy with blonde hair and orange tips is walking through the streets. He had whisker marks on his cheeks. He wore a black shirt with an Uzumaki swirl on the front. He had grayish white shorts and black shinobi shoes. He walks through the village aimlessly. He was recently kicked out of an orphanage for beating up his so-called boys because he had enough of their abuse. Hateful glares are aimed at Naruto. He looks around to see this and sadly smiles while putting his head back down, looking slightly at the ground. People keep murmuring hateful things, acting like Naruto was devoid of hearing. He didn't know why the village always acted so evil towards him. As he was walking, out of nowhere, a fist makes heavy contact with his face. He falls to the ground with a bloody nose. It was a minorly drunk villager who hit him. He then gets closer to Naruto and crouches down. He snatches Naruto by his shirt and proceeds to whisper to him face to face. "Stupid brat, do you have any idea what you have done to me?" I don't know what you're talking about." "Don't play dumb with me, you damn demon. You know what you did. I will never forget it." Naruto is scared and confused and honestly doesn't know what this man is talking about. He then continues, "You never got to pay me back for taking my wife from me. But now that I have you in my grasp, I will never let you go." "Please, sir, I didn't kill your wife. I don't know what's going on." "Still playing dumb, huh? Well, it doesn't matter. I finally got what I wanted." He smiles sadistically at Naruto. Naruto is now in fear of what's to come. The man then grabs Naruto by the arm and begins dragging him back to his home. "No, please, someone stop him. I don't want to go with him. Help me." All the villagers just continue to walk past the commotion, paying his pleading screams no mind, not even the leaf ninja. After a few, he realizes no one is coming. He gives up. He stops resisting. After a few moments, they make it to the man's house. He swings the door open and throws Naruto onto the ground face first. He proceeds to slowly shut the door and says, "This is your new home now. You might as well get comfortable. You're in for a long, long ride." He grins at the little boy as he removes his belt. Naruto looks at him in fear and begins to run. "Get back here, brat." The villager begins to run after the boy. Naruto goes to the first door he sees and locks it. He ends up in a basement. He runs down the steps and looks for a place to hide. The man is screaming, trying to break down the door. "Boy, how dare you run away from me? Accept your punishment." Naruto finds a place in an old rusty closet. Naruto has never been in this much fear in his life. He is shaking uncontrollably. He's struggling to breathe. He tries to control himself, but it's no use. He then hears a click, then the door creaks open. The man started to sober up and realized he could just unlock it from the outside with his key. He slowly creeps downstairs. He slowly creeps down the steps while taunting the boy. "Brat, where are you? I know you're hiding. I can smell the fear." Tears start to fall from Naruto's face, but he keeps quiet. He doesn't want to alert him. But then, footsteps start to get louder as his heart begins to race. The closet door swings open. The villager says, "Found you. The villager proceeds to grab Naruto and throws him out the closet. He begins to punch and kick Naruto while he's on the ground. He stomps on his head till blood starts to come from his nose. He rips his shirt and starts to whip him with his belt. Please stop. Stop it. Ah, it hurts. Stop it, please. You deserve this, brat. You should be lucky I don't kill you. He proceeds to brutally beat on him for hours and hours and hours. He finally stopped late midnight. Naruto is lying on the floor, lifeless, but faintly breathing. That's enough for today, brat. Be prepared for tomorrow. Today was just the beginning. From that day on, for 2 years straight, Naruto has been brutally tortured and beaten. The villager would have Naruto strapped to a chair with bloody tools always by his side. He would chop off his fingers and toes while making him count to 900 slowly each and every night. His regenerative factor didn't make his suffering any better. After he would beat him while he's still strapped to the chair, he sees that Naruto could be used as a weapon also, since he's the Jinchuriki of the Nine Tails. He trains him in basic taijutsu, nothing more. But he is a master of it. He almost easily mastered all taijutsu techniques. His speed is phenomenal. His strength is abnormal. He never worked on his physicality though, so he's quite skinny. But yet he's still held down by the psychotic man. He beats and cuts him with every object he had. He makes him repeat words to drill them in his head. To drill them in his mind, to reprogram his thinking. This is how it went. What are you? A demon. Who do you belong to? You. Who do you care for? No one. Who do you fight for? You. Who will you die for? You. His voice didn't get that deep, but you know what I'm talking about. Good. Now count to 900. Snap. Every night, drilling those words into his head, while cutting every single finger and toe off of his body. Those 2 years of agony was too much for Naruto. He couldn't handle it. He broke. It is currently night. Naruto has huge scars and bruises all over his body. Some were recent because of the villagers' enraged drinking habits. He sits with his hands chained to the back of the chair and his ankles in shackles. His mind is blank. He sits motionless with his head down. His mind is fucked. He feels as if he's devoid of happiness and free will. Any more than this, and he'll go insane. The door suddenly swings open. Brat, it's time for another lesson. He comes down slowly while cracking 2 fingers. Naruto gives no reaction. The man approaches Null, looks down on him with disgust in his eyes. He proceeds to punch Naruto straight in the face, full force. Naruto gives no reaction. The man then begins to say, "Are you ready, demon?" Naruto gives no response. The man then picks up bloody garden scissors and walks over to a bloody bucket to clean the blades. While he's getting ready to torture Naruto, Naruto thinks to himself, "Has God cursed my soul? Am I bound to this life of never-ending pain? Is this my eternal hell? If so, I might as well enjoy every second of it." A sadistic and devilish smile grows on his face. He's starting to accept his life as it is, but in his own way. He feels that this is his punishment for being brought into this world, for being a demon. The man finishes cleaning the scissors, then starts walking towards Naruto. He stands in front of him with the same look of disgust. He asks him once more, "Are you ready?" "Ready when you are." The man's taken aback by this, but then realizes something. You finally broke, huh? Good. Now you're completely under my thumb. Now start counting. The villager begins to snap, to slowly cut away at his toes. Naruto, on the other hand, starts counting. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and so on. He squirms as the man starts to cut off his fingers next. He feels a type of ecstasy from this since he moved past the stage of acceptance. It took him 2 years to accept this, but even though he's taking it in, something just doesn't feel right about it. It never did. Someone constantly told him this will not be your life forever, but he was too scared of his tormentor, so he ignored it. He's at his limit now. Thoughts start running through his head. Should I accept this? No, I can't. This can't be my life forever. I won't accept this any longer. You know, I'll just kill the bastard. Yeah, I'll do that. Then I'll kill everyone else in this damn village. Scum. The counting suddenly stops. The man stops cutting his fingers. He only has 3 more left. To the man, Naruto seems to be enjoying this because of that psychotic and sick smile on his face. The man then suddenly senses something ominous in the boy. His fingers and toes start to rapidly heal. He jumps back to gain space. He feels that something is not right with him. What's wrong with you, brat? Answer me! Silence fills the area. The man gets nervous because whatever's inside Naruto is getting more and more potent. Suddenly, starts to feel more and more potent. Suddenly, a substance starts to bubble up from Naruto's back. It pulsates like it wants to break free. Naruto begins to speak as each tentacle slowly shoot out one by one. You know, the last few months of your torture, someone has been speaking to me, telling me that I should kill you. But I was too afraid, too oppressed to say anything. I couldn't act on my own. But now I see that there's more to life than pleasurable pain. I have so much more to experience. She showed me that. Shut the hell up, brat. You're nothing but a demon that deserves death. Silence fills the room once again. Naruto is now at his 5th tentacle. The man is shaking in fear. He flinches every time he hears the gory sound of a tentacle shoot out, surprising him. He doesn't know what's going on or what this boy's gonna do, but the thought of him just being a weak little brat helps him keep a little composure. Naruto begins again. I understand now that only the strong are on top, while the weak stay under their feet. He then goes silent. He looks as if he's listening to something. And you're strong, right? Yeah. And what are you going to do with that strength? Use it to take what I want, so nothing will be taken from me. I will use it to kill anyone who stands against me. And for 2 long years, who stood against you? Who took from you? All this time you could have been experiencing your own life, but instead you're down here chained to a chair in the worst state you could ever be in. Who did this to you? Saliva starts to leak profusely from his mouth as the psychotic smile is still on his face. The man feels the energy coming from this boy. He knows that he is nothing but prey in the vicinity of a predator. The bloodlust Naruto is emitting is overwhelming. He drops the scissors and musters the courage to run towards the steps. He thinks he's gonna make it out, but out of nowhere, 3 tentacles then stab the ground in front of the man, stopping him in his tracks. Naruto is now at his 9th tentacle, forming his full Kagome. He knows he's gonna die. grows silent once more. Naruto then suddenly sniffs the air. Then his devilish smile gets even wider as he says, "I can smell your fear, and I cannot deny it smells quite pleasant." He slowly picks up his head. His vision is fixated on his tormentor now. The man is in shock of the monster he made. The whiteness in his eyes is now pure black. The middle is now orange, just like his Kagune. The veins resemble the same color. He looks as chaotic as ever. The hungry look in his eyes doesn't make it any better. The devilish smile still stuck on his face, revealing his razor-sharp fangs. His whiskers grow thick as red chakra starts to boil around him. Slits begin to appear in his eyes as well. The man then falls to his knees, succumbing to his fear. He gives up. He knows he's gonna die. Naruto then snaps Bo's chain with ease. He slowly walks over towards him. His wounds burn as they heal, but the scars remain. The same chaotic look still remains. As he gets closer, he then approaches the man and stops in front of him, looking down on him. The man is shaking badly as sweat intensely drops from him. He has never been more scared in his life. His bloodlust is so powerful, he doesn't even think the Hokage could handle it. Naruto then quickly stabs both his shoulders with his 2 tentacles, pinning him to the ground. "Ah! Please don't do this! Just kill me!" The villager knows what's about to happen to him. Naruto unpins his other three tentacles from in front of the passageway up the steps and retreats them. He begins to scan the room to look for a tool to use on the bastard. He then sees a katana in a glass case. He feels something alluring emanating from the sword. The villager, still in immense pain, sees this and decides to utter, No, don't you dare pick up that sword. It's a family heirloom passed down from my ancestors. It'll kill you if you grab it. It contains abilities no normal human can wield." "But you're forgetting. I'm nothing close to normal." He then proceeds to walk to the case. He then thrusts his hand into the case, grabbing it by the sheath. The cuts and wounds from that punch rapidly starts to heal. He pulls back and begins to observe the sword. It's black and blue with blue bandages. He then places his hand on the hilt and unsheaths the blade. The villager grins, thinking the sword would consume his soul. But then he sees the sword leak black aura with black lightning, while the blue glow starts to turn orange with the same vein glow as his Kagune inside. The villager can't believe his eyes. He corrupted the sword. Naruto then walks ominously towards the man. His Kagune is still pinning him up to the ground. The man saw nothing but a demon in his vision. The words he molded into his head subsided, but one. "I am a demon." Those words replayed in his head. He murmurs as he hears in his head, "What are you, Naruto? A demon. What are you? A demon. What are you? A demon. I'm a demon. I'm a demon. I'm a demon. I'm a demon." And so on. He keeps going into Kuramasa's. Now, what do demons do? Spread fear. What else? Kill. His face gets even more crazed as he says this. The man doesn't even put up a fuss because he sees that his fate is sealed. Naruto then lifts the cursed sword in the air. He thrusts it into the center of his stomach. Ah! He then begins to twist it and turn it while he notices something dark traveling through the veins in his body. He thinks to himself, "This may kill him." He continues to watch as he sees the man losing life the whiter the darkness spreads through. He then proceeds to pour his chakra into it. As he does this, the man suddenly shoots up and screams out in agonizing pain, begging him to stop. Naruto's sick smile stays planted on his face as he pours even more chocolate into him, amplifying the effect even further. The man's body starts to shake uncontrollably as his body starts to blow bit by bit. He's gonna explode, Naruto thinks to himself. As he does this, he doesn't realize he has an onlooker. This onlooker was the sage of six paths, gazing upon the horror. He saw how Naruto's life turned out, and he told himself once he'd had enough, he'd give Naruto another chance at a new life and a new world fitting for him. And tonight was that night. I know it sounds cruel, but it was all a part of his plan for Naruto. The man's body continues to grow at a rapid pace as Naruto continues to fill him with his chakra. The man then bursts into black smoke. He realizes the blood remained and starts to swirl around the sword. He then sucks up the blood. After it consumed it, the glow subsided. He suddenly feels his physicality get stronger. Feels his physical body get stronger. He feels even more lighter than he already did. He realizes this and pays no mind to it. His cognition suddenly returns into his back. He drops the sword and the sheath. He falls to his hands and knees and begins crying. He yells, "I'm finally free! I'm finally free! No more pain. No more." He continues to weep. But as this goes on, the fox speaks to him very softly. "You did it, Naruto. You're free now. You don't have to feel anger or sadness, even though I know these scars will never fade from your mind. But know you're not alone. I will always be here for you. I'll suffer with you." "You're a liar. You were nothing but cruel to me. You called me weak and pathetic. You also said things that gave me courage. But you called me things that I never thought would boost my will. A demon, a killer, a fiend. You said it all, and I thank you for that. But I still don't understand why. Why were you being so two-faced? Why break me down just to build me back up, sorry." It had grown silent after he says this. Kurama then says, "I broke you down because you had to hear your faults firsthand, and I built you back up so you could correct those faults. I called you weak and pathetic to purposely break your spirit. Then I told you to get rid of that weakness, and what did you do? Got rid of it. Now do you see? I do. I broke you to make you strong so you can protect yourself. Kill anyone that stands against you. I don't ever want to see you weak again. Do you understand?" Naruto nods his head. He completely forgot about destroying the village. All he cared about right now was praising his freedom. He slowly gets up and cracks 2 fingers while picking up both the sheath and the blade. He sheaths his sword and ties it tightly to his waist with a semi-thick rope he had found in the basement. He begins to walk until he peered into the spilled bloody water from the bucket the man washed his tools in. He saw that his hair was fully orange and his eyes is crimson red, no slit. His sharp fangs stay formed. His nails were black as well. He sees his change, but pays this no mind. He begins to proceed to the steps until a bright light shined in front of him. He jumps back and pulls out his new katana. The glow slowly subsides to reveal to be the sage. He then says, "Naruto, you finally did it. You're free now. Who are you?" "I'm the man who's going to give you a new life, a new beginning in a world that is fitting for a being such as yourself." "And where's that? How do I know you're not lying to me? I'll prove I'm not lying when I send you. Now. Sorry. Now, before I do, I should tell you that you should watch out for men or women in white suits. They are very dangerous, and they will kill those of your kind. Naruto is a little skeptical, but decides to listen since Hagoromo is literally floating in front of him. The sage continues. Whether or not you choose to fight or flee is completely up to you, but stay weary of those people. Naruto nods. When I send you to this universe, I'll age you 13 years while you're traveling through space and time, and that's for Kurama. I'll give her a human form so she can blend in. Please take care of my daughter. Daughter? I have no time to explain my relations with Kurama. Anyway, I'll transfer common knowledge of this universe and knowledge of your abilities as well. It will consist of certain abilities you use, and you will automatically know how to use them. I see you're already a master of taijutsu, so I'll raise your ability in Kennen and Genjutsu. I will also give you your own dojutsu. The name will be Shinsuigan. It will consist of 12 tomoe. It will look like the Renegon, but it will be mixed with your ghoul eyes. The rings in tomoe will be orange. You can also deplete the numbers of tomoe to lessen the strain on your eyes and chakra. The abilities will be illusion and hellfire. I'll think of more abilities soon. No, probably think of more abilities after this, but anyway, let's continue. Those will be your Shinsuigan abilities. It will also enhance your speed and strength. I'll give you more of your own abilities as well, but I won't bother telling. You'll figure them out. And one more thing. I have to explain to you that the world you are heading to is nothing but cruel. So you will have to be cruel yourself. Naruto doesn't understand any of this, but still continues to listen. The sage continues. I see that your chaotic side has subsided. But that is a big problem. You can't afford to be nice. You don't know this, but you are the reincarnation of my son Ashura. Naruto gives no reaction, but niceness will get you anything but killed. So, Hagoromo then plants his feet on the ground with a serious look. He walks over to Naruto. Naruto gives no reaction. He looks up at the sage as he places a hand on his forehead. His head felt really warm, but other than that, it felt pleasant. A few minutes go by, then he takes his hand off of Naruto. Naruto then says, "What did you do?" "I split your normal and chaotic side in half, so when you battle, you will feel a crazed rush and a strong lust for blood. Only when you intend to kill, that is. It will boost your power by a minimum, giving you an advantage." Naruto likes this. He kind of likes when he gets all riled up, like he did before. But still, it's hard to believe that whoever this is can do this for him. After, the sage proceeds to open a spiral through space. He then says, "Now, I have to know, are you willing to fight to achieve peace by any means? Are you willing to help the people you come across? Will you help them achieve true peace?" Alright, because this will go all the way into 3. If you depending on how you like this. But so let's continue. I already said that. Anyway, Naruto is in shock now that he sees a rift in space. He nods, still staring at the portal. The sage then says, "Good. I must warn you, the journey will be long, but I know you'll be okay. Now go." Naruto then begins to slowly walk towards the rift, and as he goes, Hagoromo has one more thing to say. "I also planted certain events in your mind so you'll know when to go and to let it go, and control your hunger. Naruto. As he says this, Naruto gets sucked into the portal. He feels like he's being pulled by force. His body starts to grow. His physicality begins to grow perfectly defined. He feels the power rush inside his body as he goes further. His eyes then become ghoulish and starts to spin. Rings start to come from the center, while all 12 tomorrow form. One by one, his head starts to hurt as quick glimpses of visions invade his head. But he couldn't make them out. After his Shinsoigan begins to revert back to his normal red crimson eyes. After a while, the strain on his body by the pull force and all the abilities he received renders him unconscious. Alright, going into chapter 1. I might stop randomly because I did a lot, but I didn't do a stopping point. So, anyway, chapter 1. Who are you? Alright, let's begin. Meanwhile, in an alleyway in Tokyo. How could you do that to me? There's no way I could eat someone's flesh. You're not gonna turn me into a cannibal like human. I'm not like you monsters. After, Toka begins beating on him brutally. Sorry, I'm kind of tired, so if my Kaneki voice is not good, it's my fault. Anyway, every kick and every punch, blood would fly from Kaneki. She continues her assault. Switching POV. What's going on? Sorry, that's not what. Alright. What's going on? Oh, I'm still in the rift. This felt like quite a long jump. Felt like I was out for hours. After a few minutes of staring into the blue aura of the rift, he hears faintly. So if I'm a monster, then what the hell does that make you? Whose voice is that? He then feels the force start to get lighter as his vision starts to form an atmosphere of some sort. Switching POV. Please, you have to help me. I don't know what to do. Suddenly, something bright catches his eye. Catches Toka's as well. It gets brighter and brighter as electricity intensifies around it. Now, what the hell is this? Kaneki is still looking in shock. The light then shoots something out, making it hit a wall at a high speed. This surprises both of them. Kaneki slowly gets to his feet as Toka keeps her distance. Smoke is screening their vision, making it hard for them to see what flew out of that strange light. A few moments go past as they continue to stare. The smoke begins to fade, and they see two figures on the floor. One is knocked out, while the other is slowly getting to his feet with no struggle. He has long orange hair that goes to his shoulders. His nails are black. He had a ripped black shirt with red bits that looked to sort of form a swirl. He had ripped grayish white shorts. Let's just say the clothes grew with him through the jump. Anyway, with no shoes and a strange sword tied to his waist. He had scars all over his body. He had red crimson eyes that glowed in the darkness. He also had whisker marks on his face. Toka yells, "Hey, what's going on? Who are you?" Naruto gets to his feet, still hunched over. He cracks both his middle and his index finger as he slowly lifts his upper body. Naruto then begins to say, "I don't quite know myself, but I'm Naruto." Toka grows a little skeptical. It was weird to her that some random man just popped out of thin air. She decides to keep an eye on him. She continues, "I'm Toka. What was that little trick you just did?" "You'll know soon enough. But for now," he then sniffed the air because of a sweet aroma that caught his attention. "I'm hungry." He says this as he follows the scent. Toka is still watching his movements keenly. Naruto knows this but pays it no mind. He just stares a blank side stare as he walks past her. She sees this and thinks, he's kinda hot. Suddenly, she gets a look of slight interest as he stands in front of the corpse. Naruto crouches down and rips a leg off the corpse. He takes 3 bites before throwing it to the side. He suddenly hears footsteps come towards him. He looks to see Toka. She stops 6 feet from him and says, "That's all you're gonna eat?" Naruto then gets up. "That's all I need to sustain myself for a while." Something suddenly catches Toka off guard. She asks, What's with your ghoul eyes? Never seen ones like yours before." Naruto stays silent with that same dead expression. A few moments of silence, Naruto begins to speak. "You'll know soon enough." This kind of annoys her. That same answer came from his mouth. That made her grow weary of him, disregarding the fact that they barely know each other. Naruto sees the annoyance on her face and begins to say, "I don't see why you're getting annoyed. I have no obligations to you. Therefore, if I don't wish to share information, I won't." This got on her nerves. She brushes it aside and asks, "So where did you come from?" "Somewhere not of this world." She dislikes how straightforward he is instead of explaining in depth. But she still continues to squeeze answers out of him because she can't get over what she just saw. "Well, if you're supposedly not from here, how did you become a ghoul?" She notices that he flinched at this. He shook profusely with a devilish smile for a second before regaining composure. After a few seconds of silence, he says with a blank face and says, He looks at her with a blank face and says, "Unfortunate events." She deemed that reaction as odd. She thinks to herself, something must have happened to him. He flinched really bad at that. Her thoughts are interrupted by Naruto appearing behind her with the same blank expression. He then begins to say, "Who's that guy shaking with the tears in his eyes?" "I don't know. I just saved his ass from Nishiki. A prick I know. This is so-called feeding grounds." Interesting. He proceeds to walk past her. She unconsciously follows. Kaneki's heart starts to race. The guy he's looking at looks scary to him. His red crimson eyes glowing bright in the dark. He feels something strange from him. It feels ominous, but his fear lessens when Naruto approaches him and holds out a hand. He says, "Need help?" "Yeah, thank you." He then takes his hand and picks him up. It grows silent for a moment, but the sound of sniffling interrupts. Naruto and Toka are looking at Kaneki, seeing that he's about to cry. He then looks at Naruto with a pitiful look and pleads, "Sir, you have to help. I don't know what to do. My whole life has been turned upside down. This day has ruined my entire life." Naruto looks at him with the same dead expression. He then says to Kaneki, "Follow me." Kaneki shoots his head up to see him already walking. He hurries and follows. Toka sees this as a waste of time, but decides to keep on tagging along. They keep walking until Naruto stops in front of the same corpse. Kaneki's look of hope fades when he sees this. Naruto turns to Kaneki with a stern look and begins to speak. "Before we go any further, I have a question to ask. What do you think of ghouls?" I don't know what to think of them." "Okay. Do you think they all kill for fun or just to survive?" I don't know." "Do you want to survive?" I do, but not if it means taking another human life. I don't want to be a monster." It grows silent after. This conversation intrigues Toka, and so does this new guy. Naruto then gets a very deadly look on his face and says, "If you can't kill just to survive, then I feel that you think your life doesn't have much meaning. If you didn't, you would have done anything to stay alive, but you'd rather starve. You don't care about life." Suddenly, his eyes instantly turn ghoulish as 4 tentacles shoot out from his back. As he deploys 4 tentacles, I'm gonna just say it like that. He cracks both his pinky and ring finger and begins to say with an even deadlier look, "So I'll take it from you." Kaneki now feels utter fear. He doesn't know what's causing this immense pressure. It's Naruto's overwhelming bloodlust. Toka looks at Naruto in shock. She feels a strange energy that lets her know he's no joke. Naruto begins slowly walking towards Kaneki. His instincts kick in, and he starts backing up. Naruto continues to peer into Kaneki's eyes as he fills him with fear. Kaneki never felt this scared before. It's hard for him to breathe and he's sweating a puddle. He hits a wall. He wants to run, but it's too late. Naruto is already 5 feet away. Naruto then stabs the wall one by one rapidly around Naruto, forming an outline around him. Kaneki thinks he's gonna die. Toka is still in shock, but very interested. She sees this man had unknown strength. Naruto then slowly deploys a 5th tentacle from his back and directs it to Kaneki's chest. Like a snake. Where the heart is. Kaneki's heart is beating out of his chest. Naruto says, "I'll ask you again. Do you wish to survive?" Suddenly he hears, "That's enough, young man." Naruto looks at an old man with the waiter's attire, with the same blank look on his face. He then says, "This one refuses to eat. He rejects his ghoulish side, so all I'm doing is relieving him of his pain. That won't be necessary, I assure you. All he needs is a little help." Yoshimura notices that this ghoul in his Kagome appears quite peculiar, but leaves it alone for now. He sees that this boy may be in need as well. He saw glimpses of huge gash-like scars on his body. He has shackles that seem to be broken apart. He sees that this boy had been traumatized to the point of no return. He says to them, "Would you 2 young men please come with me?" Naruto takes his Kagune out of the wall from around Kaneki and retreats them. Toka then says reluctantly, "Are you really going to take these 2 in?" "Of course I am. It's our policy to help all ghouls in need. Have you forgotten?" Toka scoffs and begins to walk. Kaneki's nerves return as the old man saves him. He pushes himself off the wall and follows behind his acquaintance. Naruto suddenly says, Hold on. I need to get my friend." They then stop as Naruto walks around the corner. A few moments pass. He comes back around with a woman. She had orange and brown hair, with black and brown attire, with a long red glove. She was still unconscious from the jump and rapid transformation to a human. Sorry, something is in my eye. Sorry. They all get curious as to what happened to her. Yoshimura then asks, "Do you mind telling me what happened to her?" "I'll explain everything to you once we're inside, sir." "Very well. Come now." They all then continue on their way to Anteku. At Anteku, they walk in. Toka goes into a dark corner and sits at a table. Yoshimura says to Kaneki, "Take a seat, young man." Okay. No. Okay. He then turns to Naruto and says, "There's a spare room upstairs. Make a left and it will be the first door on your right with a bed inside. You may lay her there for the time being." Naruto nods and proceeds to walk up the steps. A few moments go past as he approaches the door. He begins to feel the power well up and activate. The door now begins to slowly turn. He shows little interest. The knob fully turns and slowly opens. He walks in and closes the door behind him. It was telekinesis. He stands in place in the dark room. He starts to shake as it reminds him of those times. Calm down, Naruto. You're free. You're free. He slowly regains composure and proceeds to walk towards the couch. He notices that his vision is enhanced in the dark. The room glows orange. He suddenly thinks about something and tries it. He thinks about finding hidden objects or anything hidden. Then over a sudden, bright orange, visible pulse waves start to spread across the room and sync with his heartbeat. He notices that his heartbeat is slow due to activating this ability. It's called pulse. They pass over things and suddenly he can see through everything like a UAV. Each wave lasts 2 seconds, then fades. And that's more than enough to see vividly. He deactivates his ability and proceeds to walk around the other couch and lays her on the one opposite from it. He stares at Kurama with a pleasant look and starts to caress her face. He then whispers sweetly, I thank you again for helping me, Kurama. I am forever in your debt." He then proceeds to walk to the door. He opens it and walks out. As the door closes, a happy and sweet smile suddenly appears on Kurama's face. Naruto is now walking down the steps. He sees the old man talking to Kaneki about coffee and the benefits of it. He walks over and sits next to Kaneki. The old man turns his attention to Naruto after finishing up with Kaneki. He sees that he has the same blank look as when they met. He begins to make another cup of coffee and hands it to Naruto. "Thank you, sir. I appreciate it." "No problem, young man. Now, you mind telling me your story?" "Oh, sorry." He begins to shake for a moment, then he says, "I'm sorry, sir, but I do. It's far too painful to even think of, but I will tell you that I am not from this world. I probably should have been because I wasn't born a ghoul. This was triggered. And when it happened, a god of some sort told me that he'd send me to a world fitting for me. I didn't believe him at first, but now I see he wasn't lying." Yoshimura takes his story into consideration because he is an abnormal kind of ghoul. He has an aura about him that he can't quite put his finger on, but could tell he was a strong one. He then says, "Interesting story. I saw from the first look that you were a troubled kid. Deeply, but I have the will to keep my mind together, so I'll be fine. You don't have to worry." That's a relief. Naruto then takes a sip of his coffee, and his face actually showed emotion. He had a very pleased look of surprise on his face. He looks at the old man with a pleased, wide smile and says, It's good. Thank you." Yoshimura begins to smile pleasantly as well. He felt a connection. He chuckles and says, "No problem." And it goes silent for a brief moment as Naruto happily sips his coffee. This was the best thing he has ever tasted. He never got to experience the pleasure of good food or drinks. That bastard always used to feed him some type of slop that somehow sustained him, and it didn't taste like anything. Yoshimura then asks him, What's your name, my boy? Toka is surprised at what he just called Naruto. She had never heard him call anyone anything other than their name. Naruto then says, my name is Naruto Namikaze Yoshimura. Well, nice to meet you, Naruto. I see that you might have nowhere to go given your attire. So, would you like to stay here in Artaiku with us? Naruto suddenly gets a rapid vision. He could understand with no problem. As soon as it ends, he says, I think I'll go with this guy. For now, at least. Is that alright with you? Yeah, that's fine, but I only have a one-bedroom apartment. Where will you and your friends sleep? We'll take our chances on the floor. Yoshimura then intervenes and asks, are you sure, Naruto? Yes, I'll manage, old man. No need to worry. Toka then gets up quickly in anger and says, hey, watch your mouth. Right, Toka, no need to get riled up. She is surprised at his reaction. She sees that both have pleasant smiles set at one another. She sits back down and closes her eyes with a small smile. After Naruto and Kaneki both finish their coffee, Naruto tells them that he has to get his friend before they go. He then makes his way to the steps. A few moments of walking, he makes it back to the room. He opens it to see Kurama just waking up. What happened, Naruto? A pleasant smile forms on his face as he gazes upon Kurama's beauty. He then walks over to her. Kurama wipes her eyes as she sits up. She looks up at Naruto. She sees his cute smile and blushes, smiling back at him. Naruto then says, how are you feeling? A little hazy, but I'm fine. She then gets up, looking up at Naruto. She wraps his arms around his neck and kisses him on the cheek. She looks into his red glowing eyes with a blush and says, I'm glad you're doing okay. How can you tell? You don't look worn out anymore. I see you have a glimpse of life in your eyes. Naruto smiles happily at her and embraces her. Kurama is the only thing keeping him sane right now. Without her, he wouldn't know what to do with himself. A few moments go by and they break the hug and proceed to the door. They make it down the steps. Kurama looks around in curiosity at the shop. She never seen things that looked so modern before. Naruto begins to introduce her. This is Kurama. She's a very close friend of mine. Hello, everyone, she says with a cute smile. Kaneki blushes at this and quickly turns away. Kurama begins to chuckle at his reaction. After a few more moments of conversation, the three head off. See you, old man. Yes, see you guys some other time. Good night, you three. He waves as they leave. Toka never seen Yoshimura this joyful before. She's starting to think that having Naruto around wouldn't be so bad. Chapter 1 concludes. Now I'm going to do chapter 2. I didn't give it a name, I just named it chapter 2. So, anyway. To Naruto, Kaneki, and Kurama. They all are walking in comfortable silence. Naruto then begins to say, Hey, sorry for scaring you back there. I wasn't really going to kill you, you know. It's just that I'm not too fond of the weak. That's okay. Sorry. No, that's okay. But what's the reason? Naruto manages to stop a shiver from coming out. Kurama sees this and she gets a sad look. Then he speaks. It reminds me of my former self. Please don't ask any more questions that relate to my past. Oh, sorry. But that's okay. Kurama suddenly clings to Naruto's arm. He makes a look of surprise before an instant smile comes on his face while he looks at her. Kurama knew what she was doing. Anything that bothers Naruto instantly goes away in her presence. After a few minutes, they make it to Kaneki's apartment. Kaneki unlocks it and welcomes them inside. Sorry if I go past. Alright. Well, this is my home. They all look around. It wasn't much to see, but it was stable living. They all walk in and get settled. Kaneki sits on his bed to take off his shoes. Naruto approaches him and says, "Since it isn't too late, I'm gonna go shopping. Kurama and I need some clothes and other things." "Okay, well, be safe." Naruto nods and proceeds out the door with Kurama. They begin to walk around to see what they could find. Suddenly, Naruto gets a rapid vision of all the areas that are necessary for them. "Are you alright?" "Oh, sorry. Are you alright? Why'd your eyes glow over a sudden?" "Rapid vision. Your father gave me abilities to succeed in this world. I know now. I know what stores and places to go to now." "Well, shall we?" They begin to walk to a clothes shop that sells good quality clothing for a low price. The sage wasn't going to send them with no currency, the sage wasn't going to send them with no currency, of course, so they have money. They got hard stares because of Naruto's scars and his attire, but mostly shocked stares because of his looks. He was a very handsome man, no homo. They make it there and grab a nice things to wear. Naruto came out with an orange and black long draped hoodie and black shoes. He wears a black long sleeve shirt and has black gloves with everything black, with a wristband on his right arm. It's basically what I said Akuma was wearing in there, the description and all that. Like, it's basically looking at that picture. So, but just imagine the red, orange. Okay, anyway. Kurama is also wearing an orange and black hoodie with a long drape. So he has black tights and a black crop top and high heels. They walk out and Naruto begins to talk. The next store we're gonna go to is a Mac store owned by a ghoul named Uta. He's good with the people of Onteku. "Okay, let's go." They begin walking until Naruto smells something even sweeter than the last time. "Hold on, Kurama. I smell something quite pleasant. I'm gonna go check it out. You can come if you want to watch." "Of course I want to watch." They then walk as Naruto follows the scent. They walk and cut into an alleyway. They hear sounds of ripping and tearing of human flesh. They get to the source and sees a ghoul feasting upon a human. The ghoul quickly looks back and sees two people staring at him. He notices one of them is a ghoul, but he feels something strange emitting from him. It lets him know he's not a normal ghoul. "Hey, what are you doing over here? This is my grounds. You better leave if you don't want to die." He stares at him, waiting for him to flee, but instead, he sees that there's a devilish smile on his face, his mouth throbbing. His eyes are glowing a bright orange. Naruto begins to say in a devilish voice, "I'm sorry I have to do this to you, but your aroma is too powerful. I need your blood, but I'll let you try to kill me. You see, I like to play with my food before I kill them, so hurry it up, I don't have all day." Naruto slowly walks towards him with his ghoul eyes activated. The ghoul feels a strain or get even deadlier than before. He notices his eyes are different as well. This scares him for some reason. The ghoul grits his teeth and then rushes towards him. Naruto stops and stands in place as the ghoul gets closer. The ghoul activates his Kagune and slashes right, but it was blocked. What the? His Kagune wasn't even activated, he thinks to himself. But what he doesn't know is that Naruto deployed one tentacle and blocked with the speed of light. He saw sparks, but it looked like he collided with the air instead. He jumps back and yells, "How the hell did you do that?" "Do what? All I did was block that weak attack." This infuriates the ghoul. He rushes once more and starts to throw executive attacks, but no matter how many combos he throws, it wouldn't touch Naruto like an ultimate defense. He then jumps with the spin and slashes his Kagune towards Naruto. But this time he collides with an orange tentacle. He looks at Naruto and sees a sick look on his face. He cracks 2 fingers while looking into this terrified ghoul's eyes and says, "I'm bored now. I guess this is the end of our little playdate." Naruto instantly stabs the ghoul through the head, killing him. They were still at the struggle, so all the blood spilled onto Naruto when he was in the air. Kurama is in the back with a smile filled with sick pleasure. She gets off on this type of thing for some odd reason. Naruto rips his Kagune yada. And I'll be telling you now, 18 plus after this episode. Anyway, Naruto rips his Kagune out of his head and watches his brains spill on the ground as he collided with the ground. Yeah. Naruto's smile gets wider as the sweet smell intensifies. He crouches down and rips his arm off. He takes a bite and his smile goes from psychotic to a pleased one. "This is really good. Quite a unique taste." He retreats his Kagune and proceeds to mutilate the ghoul. Kurama walks behind him and embraces him. She whispers in his ear and says, "That was quite the show." She licks a drop of blood off his face and gets up. Naruto follows and gets up as well and stares at the body. A glimpse of his tormentor appears on the body's face. Naruto kicks the head off full strength and it smashes right into the wall, making the head burst. He and Kurama proceed to walk to Uta's once more. An hour passes and they arrive. They open the door and walk in, switching POV. Uta's drawing sketches of the next set of masks he'll make. He hears the first door to his store open. He sniffs the air and says, "That's an odd scent. But he's a ghoul nonetheless. And he has another. A human? No, that's no human. What is he? What is she? I meant." The door opens and he sees 2 people that look like a unique set of people. He greets them. "Hey, my name's Uta. Welcome to my shop. I'm assuming you're here for a mask?" 2, actually. Uta gets curious on why she needs one. She's no ghoul. "If you don't mind me asking, why does she need a mask? She's no ghoul." "She's with me all the time. I don't want her getting involved, so she needs to hide her face." A vein pulses in her forehead. She has an angry expression on her face. She pulls his cheek and begins to say, "I can take care of myself. I'm not a damsel in distress." Uta chuckles in amusement. He gets up and says, "Take a seat over there so I can take your measurements." "Take a seat over there so I can take your measurements." Naruto walks over to the chair and sits down. After he takes both him and Kurama's measurements, he says to Naruto, "From looks alone, I can tell you've been through a lot." Sorry. You could say that. Uta thinks about a perfect match for Naruto and her. He says, I have something in mind for the both of you. Naruto gets up after Uta finishes both their measurements. Uta gets to work. 30 minutes later, Uta comes with 2 black masks with glowing orange outlines. Glowing orange outlines around the eyes. Sorry about that, guys. I'll put a picture up right here. Just imagine that, but with a description. Looks cool, right? Anyway, both has no features, but the right eye, I think it's it's the right eye. But the right eye has a crack in the corner with the line going down. Uta hands them, both of them, their masks. Do you like them? Both nod and pays Uta their feet. Naruto and Kurama then walk towards the door. Naruto turns to look at Uta and says, see you around, Uta. Uta looks back in shock and thinks, this one's interesting. Wonder what he means by that. Oh wait, no. Why did I say that? It wasn't a shock. Anyways, let's say we wouldn't be in shock by that. Like, see you around. Anyway, Naruto and Kurama then leave to go back to Kaneki's place. It took them about an hour or two. An hour and 20 minutes to get back home. They quietly open the door to see Kaneki gripping the package with an animalistic look. Gripping the package Yoshimura gave him with an animalistic look. His mouth was throbbing with saliva. Naruto thinks, he looks hungry. He then says, Kaneki. Kaneki snaps out of it and quickly looks at Naruto with a scared look of shame. They look at each other. They look at each other until Kaneki's phone rings. Hold on. Naruto comes in and closes the door behind him. They put all their stuff down and sit down on the couch. He turns on the TV and cuddles with Kurama. 30 minutes go by and Kaneki finally ends his phone call. He face plants on the bed and sighs. He then says, what's wrong with me? Naruto hears this and answers his rhetorical question. What do you think is wrong with you? Kaneki sits up with his head down, looking at the floor and says, well, I'm weak. I'm always scared, and I have no will. I don't know what to do with myself. Naruto feels for him. He says, one day you'll have the power you seek. I'll help you. So straighten up and stop being weak. It looks pathetic on you. He then rubs Kurama on the head to wake her up because she was falling asleep. She moves from under his arm while rubbing her eyes. Naruto gets up to get sheets from out of one of the bags. Let's just say they went extra shopping. I didn't mean to rush it like that. I meant to write more, but I think I was smoking. Anyway, he gets them and spreads one sheet across the floor. While he's setting up, he realizes Kaneki is still sitting up with his head down. What Naruto said must have been sinking in. He finishes and begins to signal Kurama to come to the bathroom with him. She gets up and follows him. Kaneki looks up to see this and blushes. He hesitantly asks them, hey, you guys aren't gonna... He then realizes that they have an extra pair of clothes in their hands. Naruto says, no, we're not gonna have sex. We're gonna go change. You don't want to change in front of you. He then gets embarrassed and says, oh, I'm sorry. Sorry. Both then proceed to walk into the bathroom. Kaneki then begins to get undressed as well. He puts his night clothes on and lays down under his covers. 2 minutes go by and they walk out of the bathroom and proceed to their pallet. They lay down and begin to fall asleep. All right, that's where I'm going to end it. I hope you guys enjoyed this brand new What If. This will conclude part 1 of What If Naruto was in Tokyo Ghoul. Like, share, subscribe, comment if you're new. Yeah, and tell me what you think about the video and give me some more What If suggestions. Anyways, bye-bye.